Okay, so the first video was on the discriminant, how you find it. Now, the reason I like doing that first is because the discriminant is part of the quadratic formula. So now we're going to get into the second question. The second question is, how do you solve solutions using quadratic formula? We use graphing, graphed it, we look for the x-intercepts. We use factoring, breaking down the equations, and then taking those smaller pieces and solving those to find the value of x. Find the square root is just isolating the x value. Find the square root is nice if there is only one x in the equation. For the quadratic formula, negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. That's on b another way, it's on b another way, and I like it the best because it is a surefire way. No matter how many x's you see, you can identify your a, your b, your c, plug in, and then solve. Now, when we did find the square root, I told you guys, try to only use this when there's only one x. Okay? If there's one x, you can isolate that one x. Well, here I'm going to tell you, use the quadratic formula when there's two variables. Okay? Meaning you have the x squared and the x, the quadratic and the linear term. Just like discriminant, it has to be in standard form. Okay? We're going to be picking out our a or b or c and plugging into this formula here. Hopefully you notice b squared minus 4ac, that is the discriminant. Okay? And that's why I like doing that first. It's part of it. This is a 5-step question. Okay? This isn't plug everything in your calculator once. I like taking it bit by bit, simplifying as we go, and taking that part last time and doing that first might make this a little easier. So here's our example. X squared plus 12x plus 20. And I'm going to take those a, b, and c and plug in. Negative 12 plus minus 12 squared minus 4 times 1 times 20 divided by 2 times 1. Okay, now going through the work here, you're going to have to figure out what's best for you. So the way I'm going to go about this is not the only way to do it, but it's the way I like doing it. So it keeps me organized, it helps me simplify everything. I start with doing the radicand. It ends up with being the discriminant. 12 squared minus 4 times 1 times 20. And if we do that up, we got 12 squared is 144. 4 times 1 times 20 is 80. So that's how I end up simplifying to 64. Negative 12 plus minus square root of 64 over 2. Okay, now I like to go to the side and simplify my radical here. Square root of 64, this one ends up being nice. 64 is a perfect square, so it goes right down to 8. So now we can rewrite this problem again. Negative 12 plus minus 8 divided by 2. Now, just like for finding the square root, we had the plus minus there. We got two separate answers when the square root works out nice. Same thing here. We're going to have two separate answers that work out nicely. No decimals, so just keep it fraction, make sure you simplify it. And I'm going to break this up. Negative 12 plus 8 divided by 2. Negative 12 minus 8 divided by 2. Make sure you guys are doing the numerator first and then divide by that denominator. So negative 12 plus 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Over here we have negative 12 minus 8, that's negative 20. Negative 20 divided by 2 is negative 10. X equals negative 2, x equals negative 10. So this is an example where the radical works out nicely. It's simplified because it's a perfect square. Okay? And when it's a perfect square, I broke it up and got my two separate answers. Okay? This is what we hope for. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way. Here we have 2x squared minus 2x plus 10 equals x squared plus 7. It's not in standard form, so the first thing is to put it in standard form. I'm bringing my x squared and my 7 over. X squared minus 2x plus 3 equals 0. Now we're in standard form. So now I can pick out my pieces. Be careful, the b is negative 2. Negative 2 on the outside, plus minus negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 3 divided by 2 times 1. So there's a lot going on here. Watch your negative signs and think about what happens as we're multiplying these through, as we're simplifying. So I'm going to start off again with the radicand. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times 1 times 3, that gives us 12. 4 minus 12 is negative 8. So 2 plus minus square root of negative 8 divided by 2. I'm simplifying things. 2 negatives make a positive out here. 2 times 1 is 2, so just simplifying as we go along. Now, just like before, I went to the side and did my radical, doing the same thing here. Square root of negative 8. It's a negative. So as before, we're going to have some imaginary numbers to deal with. So we know there's going to be an I involved. Factor tree, square root of 4, square root of 2. The square root of 4 goes to 2. 2i square root of 2 is square root of negative 8 simplified. So I'm going to rewrite this. 2 plus minus 2i square root of 2 divided by 2. Now, we still need to simplify some more. We're not going to be able to combine anything because of the I, because of the square root of 2, but we can simplify it some more. In class, I always tell students to break it down into 2 small fractions. A lot of times people look at the 2 and 2 in front, simplify that, but then not do this second term. When you break it up into smaller fractions, 2 over 2 plus minus 2i square root of 2 over 2. It reminds you both terms need to be simplified. Okay? And all we did was take that top 2-term polynomial here and separate it. 2 over 2 plus minus 2i squared root of 2 over 2. And now we can see 2 over 2 simplifies to 1. 2 over 2 again simplifies to 1, and we're left with I square root of 2. Not the nicest looking answer, but we have 1 plus minus I square root of 2. Nothing else can be simplified, so there's our x values. Again, it is technically 2 terms. 1 plus I square root of 2, 1 minus I square root of 2. Okay? That's probably one of the nastier ones you have to deal with. You had to do a factor tree, you have imaginary numbers, so there was a lot going on. Okay, let's do one more example. Okay, this last example, x squared plus 8x minus 4 equals 0. Okay, it's in standard form, so right away I'm going to go right to quadratic formula. Okay, so underneath we should have 8 squared is 64. 4 times 1 times negative 1 is negative 16. So we're going to end up having 80. 64 plus 16 is 80, so we're going to have negative 8 plus minus square root of 80 divided by 2. Okay, so now we're going to go to the side, square root 80, and think about what's the highest perfect square that goes into 80. And I'm going to say it's going to be 16 and 5. Square root of 16, square root of 5. The square root of 16 goes to 4. Negative 8 plus minus 4 square root of 5 over 2. So again, we can't combine anything, so I'm going to write these in 2 small fractions. Negative 8 over 2 plus minus 4 square root of 5 over 2. And simplify what can be simplified. Negative 8 over 2 gives us negative 4. 4 over 2 goes to 2, so we're going to have 2 square root of 5. Negative 4 plus minus 2 square root of 5. All right, so again, not a nice looking answer, but it's simplified as much as we can be. It's an exact answer. Not going to be allowed to give me decimals, so this is the exact answer for what the values of x could be. So watch your signs, make sure you simplify everything as much as possible. Okay? We hope the square root works out nice, but if it doesn't, we're going to end up just simplifying as much as we can, and we're not going to force anything to happen. So that's the end of 5.4.